Hello, join me as we talk about consumer rights in the credit industry. The credit industry is regulated in South Africa by the National Credit Act. So, the National Credit Act does specify consumer rights. The first right that a consumer has is a right to access to credit. So anyone and anybody, regardless of color, race, sexual orientation, religious, anything, anybody can apply for credit. And if a credit provider declines to give you credit, then you have a right to know why your credit was declined, which brings us to the right to information. Every consumer has the right to information. The information that the credit bureaus have got about you in their listing, you have the right to access that information. And also, when the credit provider declines your credit application, you have the right to know why your application has been declined. So you've got the right to access to credit, you've got the right to access to information. And now also access to information, all these documents that you sign in your credit agreements, you've got the right to ask that it be translated or given to you in a language, in your own language, in a language that you can clearly understand. So it is your right to go and ask. If you do not understand some terms in the credit agreement, you have the right to ask if they can be translated or explained to you in the language that you can easily understand. So you've got the right to get information in the language that you can easily understand. And also, you've got the right also to get your statements. You see, every month or quarterly or whatever, you have an agreement with your credit provider, they have to give you statements on your accounts. So you can actually see how are your payments going, what interest are you being charged, what is the outstanding amount, how long is the period of the credit agreement. So you've got the right to get the statement as well. And let me just go quickly again to the credit bureaus. If you find that there is information in the credit bureaus that you do not understand, or you are listed and you don't know anything about that listing, or you were not informed about that listing, you've got the right to challenge the credit bureaus. Do you know, every year, once a year, consumers can actually get a credit report from any credit bureau free of charge. And so as a consumer, use that information to check what is in your credit profile. That is your right to information. So every year you can get that information. And so when you apply for credit as well, you need to understand that the credit provider has to do what they call a affordability assessment. So your responsibility as a consumer is to give the credit provider the correct information about your financial status, the accounts that you have, the expenses that you have, so that the credit provider is able to do a proper assessment before they can grant you credit. a credit provider is obligated in terms of the Act to do a proper credit affordability assessment before he or she can give you credit. But you as a consumer as well, in terms of the Act, you are obligated to give the correct information to the credit provider so that they can be able to do an informed decision about granting you credit. Now, what happens then also is when you get, when your assessment has been done, the credit provider has to give you a pre-quotation agreement. Now, the pre-quote gives you all the information. Number one, of what the amount you are borrowing is. It gives you information on the interest rates that you will be charged. It gives you information of the period. It gives you information on the initiation fee that you are being charged, and also the monthly administration fees, so that you can see the amount that you shall have paid by the end of, for instance, 60 months or 72 months. So all of that is your right to information.